to Kingdom Covenant Church. Before I jump into this sermon, I want to make something really, really clear, because I don't want anybody taking out what I'm going to say out of context. Okay, so I need to really say this. My purpose for doing this sermon I'm going to do is to build your faith. That's the bottom line. I want to build your faith. I want you to come out of here reading your word more than you've ever read your word before. I want you to come out of here praying more than you ever prayed before. I want to build your faith. I want you to be so excited about who's sitting on the throne that you will make him first place in your life, and everything else will fall by the wayside. My purpose is to get you to believe that everything is in God's hands. Everything is in his hands. I don't want you to think something has more power than God.
That's good.
Because in Christendom, though we say God is all powerful, our actions say something totally different. We don't believe what we read in the pages of the Bible because we're just reading them. We don't believe what we read, because if you believe what you read, you would do it. Believing isn't just a mental attention to something. It causes you physically to do something. Otherwise, you're not believing. You are not called a hoper. You're called a believer.
That's good.
You're not hoping for something to happen. You're believing it is happening. Amen? So first and foremost, I want to make that really clear. So no matter what you hear, always bring it back to this context. What's he doing? He's building my faith.
That's good.
When I walk out of here, my purpose is not to get you to love this church more. My purpose isn't to get you to love your pastors more. My purpose is to get you to love God more. When you walk out of here, I want you to say, man, I got to get home. I need to pray. I need to get in his presence. Okay? So I want to make that really clear. Does everybody get that?
Yes.
Who doesn't get that? I want to make sure I explain that right. Everybody get that? Okay, so if I'm going to title this sermon, this is what I would title it. I guess I am titling it, right? iPhone, iWill, and idols. iPhone, iWill, and idols. Why I say iPhone is because every couple of years, iPhone comes out with a new phone. And all these people rush out to camp out overnight or for hours to wait to get an iPhone. And then they're going to throw down close to $1,000 for that phone. And here's the sad thing about it. A lot of people in that line are Christians who have trouble coming to church on time. Whether it's 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, wherever you go to church in America, we have a hard time getting there on time. But for an iPhone, we'll count out. And those same Christians have trouble tithing. We make it hard to time, but we'll throw down $1,000 without blinking an eye for a phone.
That's good.
They can't pray for you. They can't get you healed, can't get you delivered, but we will do everything we can for an iPhone. I was getting quiet in this Presbyterian church. I will. Satan had 5 I wills. I'm going to ascend to heaven. I'm going to ascend my throne above the stars of heaven. It was all about him. For Christians, many times, it's all about us. I will do that. We never even consult God. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, even if it's sin. Well, it's just a little bit. It's okay if I fudge the margins a little bit. It's okay. Even if I shouldn't, it's okay. Because I got this thing called grace. See, I can do my selfish will, what I want to do, forsake God, what he wants, and I just cover it with grace. Grace isn't there to cover your selfish will. Grace is there to empower you to do what you couldn't do before. The purpose of grace is to empower you to do what you couldn't do before. It's hard to love your enemy, but grace is there so you can love your enemy. Not just to cover your sin. See, we think those things aren't a big deal, but they're eroding our faith. When you dishonor God and erode your faith, no matter how small you think it is, it's eating away at your faith. Idols are little things that we don't even put on a radar, but we make things idols, just like iPhone. Just by going out and buying a house we can't afford, that we have to take 2 or 3 jobs. Because it runs us around, because now it's our God, we have to feed it. A car we can't afford, we'll take another job so we can feed it. It is a horrible thing to not know that you're out of line with God, and we don't even know what we're doing. We're committing idolatry, and we don't even know it. Idolatry is huge in the church. And then we wonder, where's God? Listen, it's going to get better. I promise you. I see some looks on people's faces that they're kind of a little shocked. Now, this revelation that God gave me that I want to share with you, but I can't share it all in one shot. So I'll share it over several weeks, but I'm going to give you the meat of what you're here for. And so I want to make sure that you understand. I can't get everything out of there, so I'm going to touch things lightly, but I'll get into them over the next weeks a little more deeply. We know in Genesis, the book of beginnings, that it opens up with saying, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. We know that. And for many Christians, it's just, hey, that's really good information. We should know that who created the heaven was God, right? But what we forget is, it is a book about faith. Jesus Christ is the center of every book. And there's faith within the pages of the Bible. Everything. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It's full of faith. Because we know this much. Nobody else did.
Come on.
Only God created the heavens and the earth. So what does that tell you? It doesn't tell you cancer created the heavens and the earth.
Come on.
It didn't say leukemia created it. It didn't say fear created it. It didn't say the devil created the heavens and the earth. It said God created the heavens. Our God created the heavens and the earth.
My God.
Everything is in His hands. Matthew 4. Go to Matthew 4. I'm going to hit a couple verses and then we're going to move on to where I'm driving to. And I know I'm going to say some things that are controversial, but it's okay. Are you there? Matthew chapter 4, verse 4 says this. But he answered and said to them, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. We are supposed to live by every word. Let me say that again. Every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. We're supposed to live out of every word. But we violate that on a daily basis. Because we're living out of the words we think matter. Our own words, other people's words. We need to live out of every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. If we just did that, we would have a victorious life.
Amen.
But we don't do that. But imagine if we lived out of every word that came out of the mouth of God. Just think about that. How victorious would your life be?
Amen. Thank you.
Go over to Revelation chapter 4. Now, I know when you say the book of Revelation, people get nervous. Because we think end times, we think of apocalypse, we think the world's ending. Or people think, well, I can't understand that book, so I'm not going to read it. Even though that's the book that says if you read this book, you're going to be blessed. So we don't read that book. And most people are afraid of that book because of just how they read the title. The book of the apocalypse, the book of Revelation, and both of those are incorrect. That's not what it says. Even though we refer to it, even though I refer to it that way. It is the revelation of Jesus Christ. That's the title of that book. It didn't say it's the revelation of end times. And everybody thinks it's an end time book. It's the book that is called the revelation of Jesus Christ. Revelation and apocalypse in the Greek means unveiling. God is not trying to conceal something from us. He's trying to reveal something to us. And what he's doing is taking the veil off of Jesus so that we can see him in all his glory. He was veiled in the Gospels, fully submitted to God, the Father. Now, in the book of Revelation, we see him full of glory. We see him for who he really is. Because the Apostle John was with Jesus, saw him, now sees him in the book of Revelation, the unveiling of Jesus Christ. And what does he do? He falls on his face, trembling before him.
Wow.
Because he sees him as Almighty God now. And he's on his face trembling. How awesome does Jesus look? That a man who was with him, who was talking to him, sees him in all his glory and is on his face trembling.
Wow. Man.
How great is he? How awesome of a figure is Jesus? That it all changes when we see him in the book of Revelation. The unveiling of Jesus Christ. Are you there? See, this book is about worship. This book is about seeing Jesus throughout history. Jesus is the focal point of the book of Revelation. It's his unveiling. Verse 1 says this, "And after these things I looked, and behold, a door standing open in heaven. And the voice which I heard was like a trumpet speaking to me, saying, Come up here, and I will show you things which must take place after this. Immediately I was in the Spirit." John pierces another realm.
Yes.
John pierces another dimension. And he becomes like an artist to us. He starts to paint a picture for us to see what is unseen.
Amen.
He's in an unseen realm seeing things. And then he begins to paint a picture for us so we can see what is unseen. This should build our faith. And behold, watch what he says, "And behold, a throne set in heaven, and one sat on this throne." How powerful is this part?
Wow.
He sees a throne.
Yes.
He sees a throne. But the throne is not empty. The throne is not vacated. There is one sitting on the throne. And his name is Jesus. Our God is sitting on the throne. Cancer is not sitting on that throne. Leukemia is not sitting on that throne. Head trauma is not sitting on that throne. The devil's not sitting on that throne. Fear is not sitting on that throne. One is sitting on that throne, and it's our God. He's the one sitting on that throne. Now watch what happens. Go to verse 8. "The four living creatures, each having 6 wings, full of eyes around and within, and they did not rest day or night, saying, Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come." These angels were before the throne of God. And they didn't rest day and night, and they just kept looking at him, and all that kept coming out of them was holy, holy, holy. They were looking at him. They weren't yelling. They were crying out, awesome, though he is. They weren't crying out great and mighty, though he is. They weren't crying out master, though he was and is to come. They were crying out king. What were they crying out? Holy, holy, holy. What does that tell you about that word? We don't have enough words to describe what holy means. Because of all the words they could have picked out, they looked at it and cried out holy.
Come on.
Think about that for a second. Of all the words in the vocabulary they had, tongues, no tongues, whatever, all they could cry out was holy.
Come on. That's good.
How powerful is she? They didn't rest. They didn't go to sleep. They didn't take a vacation. Day and night, they cried out, holy, holy, holy. Verse 9. Whatever the living creatures give glory and honor and thanks to him who sits on the throne, who lives forever and ever. I got news for you. Our God, he's not going anywhere. He's living forever and ever. Verse 10. The 24 elders fell down before him, and who sits on the throne and worships him, who lives forever and ever, and cast their crowns before him, or before the throne. Heaven is about worship, because when you see him, you can't help but worship him. It's a reflex of gratitude and awe when you see him. Verse 11, saying, you are worthy, O Lord, to receive honor, glory and honor and power. For you created all things, and by your will they exist and were created. He created all things, not some things, all things. He created all things. Let that sink in for a second. He created all things because he's worthy. Now, I want to touch on two scriptures. And in these scriptures, I think they're going to represent other scriptures. I'm not going to have time to go in all the scriptures, so I'm just going to pick one of each category. But these scriptures are going to describe what hinders us as Christians. It's not exhaustive, it's just two I'm going to talk about. So go over to Exodus chapter 20. And I'm going to be driving towards where I really want to get to. But I just want to lay down a foundation. Exodus chapter 20. And verse 4. Are you there?
Yeah.
You shall not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of anything that is in heaven, above, or that is in the earth, beneath, or that is in the water, under the earth. You shall not bow down to them. You shall not bow down to them, nor serve them. See, as Christians, we're unaware that many times we're committing idolatry. We just talked about iPhones, house, cars, things like that. So we really don't address it. We don't repent. We just keep living our life. But we do. We need to repent of that stuff. But this next verse goes hand in hand. 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 7. 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7. So idolatry hurts us especially when we're unaware of it. And then this one, idolatry we're not really aware of when it's happening, but this next one we are aware. 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7. Are you there? For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. God has not given us a spirit of fear. That tells me that fear is bad for me.
Yeah.
See, fear can't grip you if you have faith, if you believe God. The reason fear grips us is because we don't believe God. We don't have faith. We don't believe he's going to come to our rescue. We don't believe that he's going to back up what he says he's going to back up. We don't believe that. So we live in fear. Because we don't believe it. See, fear and faith cannot live in the same house at the same time. You can't stand in faith and have fear. You can have fear and stand in faith. Jairus went to get Jesus and was bringing him to his home to heal his daughter, but on the way there, these people come and say, hey, don't bother the master anymore. Your daughter is dead. Jesus said something really interesting to him, because when they said, your daughter is dead, fear travels on words.
Come on!
Yeah,
Come on! Go there!
And so, when they invoked the fear, Jesus turned around and said to them, what? Only believe.
Yeah.
Why would he say only believe? Because if you're believing, fear can't grip you.
Amen.
So So you tell them, only believe. You don't have to raise her up. I'll raise her up. Your job is just believe. Only believe.
Wow.
Don't let fear grip you. Don't let it grab a hold of you. Now, let me tell you what happened on Tuesday night, what's brought us to where we're going. On Tuesday night, I was in my office while we were getting ready for prayer, having prayer. Pastor Linda had talked to Pastor Aida. Pastor Linda gets her, rings up, she says, you need to hear the report that they just got. And this is okay, right? So that they get this report, she tells me about the report. Now, if you know Pastor Aida, she is a fireball, okay? She is a woman of incredible faith. She is powerful. And she comes up and she gives me the report. Now, I know her well enough that she's a woman of faith, but I know something, she's battling something. Okay? As strong as she is in faith, when things are said, there's a battle. And so she came up and shared what had happened, that they got some news and it was not good. So I bring in Pastor Lou. So Pastor Lou comes up, and now he's a man of faith. But I can see it on him that he's battling something. But he's a strong man of faith. So we sit down and we began to talk about this report. And so as we're talking about this report, I'm talking to God. I'm having a conversation with them, but I'm talking to God. And as we're talking to each other, I asked the Lord a question. I said, why is it that we can't get people healed of cancer, leukemia, on a consistent basis? Why is it always hit and miss? Why is that? I said, Lord, we got to get people healed. And he said to me, you're asking the wrong question. And I said, wow. I said, okay, now he wasn't telling me you're asking the wrong question. I'm going to withhold everything until you ask the right one. He was teaching me how to probe for things, how to go after things. He was teaching me something. He wasn't withholding something. He was teaching me something. And so I said, okay, let me ask it this way. What have we violated in your word that allows this to happen? And he says, that's the question you need to ask. And I said, okay, Lord, what is it? He said, idolatry. And I said, explain that to me so I can explain it to someone else. And he says, watch this. He says, when a person goes into the doctor's office and the doctor says to them, they have cancer, leukemia, or whatever, the very first thing that grips them is fear. Because there's a battle at that point. Fear is trying to make them bow their knee to fear.
Come on.
There's a battle going on.
Come on.
And he says, watch what happens. He says, this is how the devil comes to me and tells me, look what I'm doing to your children. He said, they won't come and bring your tithe to you like you want them to. But they're going to throw all the money they have now at me so that they can get well.
Jesus.
They can go to your altar, believe you, and get healed, but they'd rather throw their money at me. They're going to bypass the tithe, but they're willing to sell everything they have so they can get healed right after. So I'm going to make them bow at the altar of fear. Because fear's running them. And he says, listen, you can't even get them to show up to worship you on time at church. But I'm going to tell them to be at an appointment, and they're going to show up on time, 20, 30 minutes ahead of time. Someone will take a day off to get there. He said, because the Lord said, that all happens because of fear. And so the minute they switched gods, they went from me to fear, now they're in idolatry. Now they're worshiping at the altar of fear. Now they tie my hand because now fear can't touch them. Death can't touch them until they switch gods. When they switch gods and come to fear, they're giving fear the right to start to kill them. I'm going to show you some things in a little bit. But the idea of all this isn't just getting healed. The idea is fighting idolatry. Because what's happening is fear wants you to bow its knee to it.
Come on.
Powerful.
Fear is what we battle. You're not battling cancer in its totality. You're battling fear.
Come on. Yes. Come on.
You're battling the fear of what can happen to you. So the minute you jump over to fear, faith is out the door. You can't say, well, I believe God's going to heal me, and to be kneeling your knee to fear.
Right.
Now, let me make this really clear. I'm not telling you not to take medicine. I'm not telling you not to take your treatments. I'm not telling you that. What I am telling you is that you're going to have to, at some point, do it all in faith.
Come on. That's right. Come on.
You're going to have to learn how to take medicine in faith. If you can't stand on God's word purely, you're going to have to do things by faith.
Pastor, that's good. Awesome.
But fear is trying to dominate your life.
Yeah.
And it's trying to scare you and get in you and destroy you. Trying to make you bow at your knee at it. David, I'm going to give you an example now. I'm going to bring you to a place and give you an example. But I want to make it really clear. I'm not telling you don't take your medicine. Take your treatments. I'm trying to tell you, you got to do everything by faith. Because once you give over to fear, that's a tough booger to get out of. Because you start believing what it says.
Yep.
Okay? So go over to Daniel. We're going to jump into this. This is where I'm driving to. And Pastor Ayu's the one that said, you need to preach this. You need to preach this.
Preaching good, Pastor.
Daniel chapter 3. And I shared it with my wife in the car. And she says, oh, you're going to preach this. Yeah, you need to preach this.
Wow.
Daniel chapter 3 and verse 1. Are you there? Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold. Now, an idol is an image. An image is a picture or a sculpture of something. So the enemy tries to put fear in you by putting an image in your head that you're going to have to bow down to. Keep that in mind. Whose height was 60 cubits and its width 6 cubits. 6 is the number of man. He set it up in the plain of Dura. Dura means dwelling or a place you live. In the province of Babylon. Babylon means confusion. It's where we get the word Babel from. So anytime you set up anything outside of what God has prescribed, it's going to bring confusion. And these people were living in a state of confusion. See, confusion won't allow you to get your bearings. So if you can't get your bearings, then you're susceptible to anything. Verse 2. And King Nebuchadnezzar sent word to gather together the satraps, the administrators, the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the judges, the magistrates, and all the officials of the province to come to the dedication of the image of King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. So the satraps and administrators, governors and counselors, treasurers, judges, magistrates, and all the officials of the province gathered together for the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then a herald cried out, to you it is commanded, O peoples, nations, and languages, that at the time you hear, say hear.
Hear.
See, hearing is the inroad to faith. Faith comes by hearing about the Word of God.
Right.
But hearing, or fear, can ride on sound.
Yes.
Faith can ride on sound. For those who are young enough, I'll say it that way. You remember this? Remember that? Jaws, right? People would freak out when they heard that sound. Right? They didn't say anything. It was just a sound. Fear can travel on sound. Fear will travel on words.
Yes.
You get before a doctor and he says, you have cancer, you have leukemia, you have 6 months to live. Those are filled with fear.
Yes.
They're not facts.
Come on.
They're his opinion on what he sees.
Come on.
But he will fill them with fear. Because you receive them that way.
That's right. That's right.
It should work the other way around. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Seems like a good thing. I know that. No, it should be full of faith to us. Every time we read the word, it should be full of faith. Every time. When we get it in. Now, my God created the heavens and the earth. That should fire us up. Because nobody else did.
Come on. My God.
We should be filled with faith every time we read the word. That's why when you read the word, don't read it to yourself. Read it out loud so you can hear it.
Yes.
Faith comes by hearing.
Yes.
Not by imagining. Not by your inner voice. By speaking the word out and hearing it. Read the word out loud.
Come on.
Good, Pastor.
Yes, Lord.
That at the time you hear the sound of the horn, the flute, the harp, the lyre, the psaltery, in symphony, with all kinds of music, you shall fall down, worship the gold image that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. And whoever does not fall down and worship shall be cast into the midst of a burning, fiery furnace. Say fear.
Fear.
This isn't worship because of love. This is worship because of fear.
That's right.
Nebuchadnezzar wants everyone to commit idolatry. That's his purpose. He wants you to commit idolatry. And the proof to him is when you bow your knee. You see that? When you bow your knee, he knows he has you. Go to verse 12. There are certain Jews whom you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O God, have not paid due to you. They do not serve your gods or worship the gold image you have set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in rage and fury, gave the command to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spoke, saying to them, Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the gold image which I have set up? Now, if you are ready at the time you hear the sound of the horn, the flute, the harp, the lyre, the psaltery, in symphony with all kinds of music, you shall fall down and worship the image which I have made. Good. But if you do not worship, you will be cast immediately into the midst of a burning, fiery furnace. And who is the God who will deliver you from my hand? This is an exchange about getting them to bow down. That's the bottom line here. That's exactly what the devil wants to do to you and to me. Nebuchadnezzar is trying to instill fear in them. And that's how the devil works. He wants to get fear inside of you. Because you know what? He can't kill you. The only weapon the devil has is to put fear in you. And when you respond, he'll put more fear. And then more fear. And more fear. That's how he works. The problem for Nebuchadnezzar was he was dealing with 3 Hebrew children who didn't have fear. They stood in faith.
Come on.
There was no place for fear in them.
Come on.
Because they were standing in faith. Now watch this, verse 16. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter.
My God.
If that is the case, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. And he will deliver us from your hand, O king.
Yes.
So here's the key. They said, our God. So, say key.
King.
Whom we serve.
Yes.
That's the key. Whom we serve. Not know, not pray to every once in a while, not just see on Sunday mornings. Whom we serve. Serve means relationship.
Yes.
It means worship. It means relationship. It means trust. They had a relationship. They knew they could trust God.
Yeah.
Amen.
Most Christians will fall by the wayside because they're not sure they can trust God.
That's right.
But these 3 Hebrew kids knew that they could trust God. That's what gave them the courage to say what they're going to say next. Because they knew they could trust God. If that is the case, O God, whom we serve, the God whom we serve will be able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us from your hand, O king. But if not, let it be known to you, O king, that we do not serve your gods, nor will we worship the gold image which you have set up.
Thank you, Lord.
Yes, yes.
Listen, we know he can save us. But if there's something else on his agenda he won't, we're okay with that.
Come on.
But we want you to know something. He can save us, but if he doesn't, we're not bowing down to your image of fear.
That's right.
We're not going to bow down to your fear.
Come on.
Because you know, we're not afraid of dying.
Come on.
Because that's the goal of every believer. Is to die so we can get before his face and see him face to face. So you're not threatening me with anything that's going to scare me.
Whoa.
Come on, think about this. Most people are afraid of dying.
Come on.
Yeah.
Most Christians are afraid of dying.
Come on.
And think about that. That's supposed to be the blessing.
Yeah.
You die, you get to see his face. And the devil used that as an instrument of fear.
Come on, good. Come on.
How confused is the church?
Come on.
Think about this for a second. This runner who enters a race. Why would he enter the race? Because he wants to win. At the end of the race, they put this banner up that says finish line. Could you imagine this guy's running, wiping everybody out, running full blast, and then he sees the finish line and stops. And says, I can't break that because if I get past that, I know they say there's going to be cheering. I know there's going to be a reward. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to run the other direction because I don't know what's going to happen when I break that tape. So I'm going to run the other way. How silly is that?
Come on.
What the devil does to put fear in you, he takes the finish line and he moves it closer to you.
Come on.
Instead of saying, keep it coming, because I'm going to get over that line. I'm going to see it face to face. And what do you think would happen to him?
Come on.
Death shouldn't be, it's the finish line. The finish of this life, it's the starting of a new one. Our goal is to see him face to face. But we start worrying about, well, what about our families? What happened to, cannot God take care of them?
Come on.
You don't run your race with your family.
Come on.
You run your race individually. Cross the line. Don't fear the line. If you didn't fear the line, he can't do anything to you. Because that's the only weapon he has. Fear, fear, fear. Fear that you're going to die. He doesn't control death.
Come on.
Because if he did, he'd kill you by now. What he can control is fear. Because that's the only thing he knows. He's fearful because he knows what's coming for him.
Come on.
That's where is your sting.
Think about this for a second. He's using something that's supposed to be a blessing to us against us, and we fear it.
Turn it around.
He's a liar.
Yes, he is.
The devil is a stinking liar.
Yes, he is.
The Bible says there's an appointed time for all of us to die. Why does it say that? If we're just going to die whenever, why would it be an appointed time? Because you're not supposed to have fear. And if you don't have fear, you can't die.
Come on.
Unless there's a time appointed for you.
Come on.
Come
Come on.
Fear is what opens the door to death.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on. That's good.
Who killed Jesus? Nobody. What did he say? I commit my spirit to you. No one takes my life, I lay it down.
Come on.
Whoa.
He had no fear.
Come on.
A viper bit Peter, and he shakes it off. Everybody thinks he's going to die. But he shakes it off. Now, one place in that Bible do you see Peter going, oh my gosh, what happened? No fear.
Come on.
Paul. The Apostle Paul, Paul. He just shakes it off. But he has no fear. He didn't panic, oh my gosh, I'm going to die now. He just shook it off. Why? No fear.
That's right.
Come on.
Come on.
No fear. Come on. Daniel in the lion's den.
Come
The
on.
lion came in. No fear. Job had boils on his body. The devil couldn't kill him.
Come on.
If the devil could kill you, he would have. If he could kill them, he would have. But as long as they didn't have fear, he couldn't kill them.
Come on.
The minute you bow your knee down to fear, you open the door because now that's your God.
Come on.
He tries to get you to bow down by saying simple words of cancer, leukemia, all these other things.
Come on.
Do you know you have benefits? You have rights.
Yeah.
We know of a guy, who's it happened to his family. They're having a party and his daughter jumps in the pool and her hair gets stuck in the vacuum on the bottom and she drowns. And they pull her out of the water and they realize, oh my God, what happened? They bring her out, they call the paramedics, but paramedics are there in like 3 to 5 minutes. They jump on her, they try to give her CPR and the whole thing, try to bring her back, and nothing went. For 15 minutes they tried to bring her back, nothing happened. And the father's watching this and he says, everybody get out of the way! And he puts his hands on his daughter and he says this, Father, I'm a tither. And I have covenant rights to be a tither. The Bible says you will rebuke the devourer for my sake.
Come on.
He said, so raise her up! Bam! She came back to life. Everybody was in panic but the father. He was just watching and think, okay, how do I get this? How do I make this happen? And the Lord told him, you're in covenant with me. Use the covenant.
Doesn't it right.
See, we think tithing is not a big deal. No, tithing, God doesn't need your money. He needs your faith. That's why you're living by faith. I don't need this 10% because you ordered me to give it to you. But I know when I give this 10%, 90% is going to be sanctified. This isn't about the law, no law. This is about faith. People come up with all kinds of excuses. That's under the law. We don't tithe anymore. That's under the law. You know what? Here's what. No. It matters what priesthood you give your tithe to. If you give it to the Levitical priesthood, yeah, don't give it. But the Bible says there's a priesthood that's alive now called the Melchizedek priesthood. And you give your tithe by faith. Because it says, even today, he's receiving it in the book of Hebrews. The tithe. So where are you giving your tithe? It's about faith, not about works.
Come on. Yes. Yes. That's good.
Verse 22. You don't bow down to fear.
Yes.
Therefore, because the king command was urgent, and the furnace was exceedingly hot, the flame of the fire killed those who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The fire was extremely hot, and it killed those guys. But it didn't kill Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Why? We're about to find out. Verse 23. And these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound in the midst of the fiery furnace. Then King Nebuchadnezzar was astonished, and he rose in haste and spoke, saying to his counselors, did not we cast in three men bound in the midst of the fire? And they answered to him, true, O king. Look, he answered, I see four men walking in the midst of the fire. And they did not hurt. And the form of the fourth is like the Son of God.
Come on.
Amen. Jesus.
Dear Lord.
See, here's the thing. We lose heart when God doesn't keep us from going through the fire. We pray, believing I don't have to go through the fire. And so when it doesn't happen, we walk away and then we bow our knee. Because we don't want to go through the fire. Because we don't have the relationship we should to know. We don't pray enough. We don't read His Word enough. We don't talk to Him enough. We don't trust Him enough. We haven't had enough experience with Him. Because we're not willing to walk through the fire. Because when we're praying, we're believing we don't have to touch that fire. And so when we do, we bow our knee to fear. But these guys had enough to know I have a relationship with Him. No matter what, I'm either going to be for His face or He's going to come and rescue me. One or the other, and they're both good about me. And so when they throw Him in the fire, they didn't bow their knee. But Jesus was waiting for them. Like, and they didn't see Him. Notice what it says. It says Nebuchadnezzar saw Him. And He's telling, hey, they may not see me, but they're not bowing their knee. I'm their God in the fire and out of the fire. And you ain't touching them. They didn't bow their knee. You're not in charge of their life. I am.
Yes. Hallelujah.
Come on.
Come on. They didn't bow their knee. So guess what? Fire couldn't kill them.
That's right.
It's getting quiet in this presentation.
Come on.
The fire, all he had on them was, I'm going to make it 7 times hotter, trying to put more fear on them. But he couldn't do anything to them. He couldn't kill them. If he could have, he would have.
Come on. Couldn't.
He could not kill them.
Right.
He wanted to, but he couldn't. All he can use against them was words of fear. That's the only thing he could do. That's all that this guy could do.
Thank you, Jesus.
The devil can't kill you. If he could, he would have. David put it this way. Oh, death, where is your sting? Oh, grave, where is your victory?
Yes.
That's David saying that. I want to ask you a question. Okay, let me ask you a question. Who has the keys to death and the grave?
Jesus.
Go to Revelation chapter 1. We're coming to the end right here. We're coming. Revelation chapter 1. We're going to end right here. Verse 18. Is this helping somebody?
Yes.
Verse 18. I am he that liveth and was dead. And behold, I am alive forevermore. Amen. And have the keys of hell and of death.
Yes.
Who has the keys?
He does.
Who has the keys?
Jesus.
Who has the keys?
Jesus.
Then the devil can't kill you.
Come on. That's right.
The devil doesn't have the keys. The only time he has any authority to kill you is when you bow your knee in fear.
Yes. Amen.
That's why he's trying to constantly use fear words to make you bow your knee.
Come on.
But he can't kill you if you don't bow your knee.
Yes. Hallelujah.
Come on.
Come on.
Peter was tied in a jail with chains between two
Yes.
guards. And 12 other guards or so were guarding him. Because he was going to die the next day. Where did they find Peter? In the corner shaking, praying? Peter was found where? Sleeping. This is the same guy when there was a storm going on
Yeah, come on.
that was waking Jesus up and telling him, hey, don't you care? They care that we perish? In the midst of, now, he's about to die the next day, but he's asleep. How does that happen? Say no fear.
No fear.
He didn't bow his knee to fear. Guess what? An angel shows up and gets him out. Think about that for a second. He's supposed to die the next day and he's asleep. Why? No fear. He knows who his God is. And they can't kill him. An angel will have to show up to open the door for him. But it does. Come on, we're exposing the enemy.
Expose that.
Come on, he's John. History shows that John was boiled in oil, trying to kill him. And he had no fear. And he didn't die. So what do they do to him? They put him on an island called Patmos. And while he's there, God says, hey, come up hither.
Right.
And God takes him up and gives him this tremendous vision. And the tour of heaven. No fear, no death.
Come on. Come on, that's good.
They could not kill him. See, the reason that we have trouble with faith is because these little things that we do that we think we're okay with are eating away at our faith. When we don't show up at church on time, you think it's not a big deal. It is a big deal because that's disrespect and dishonor to God when you don't show up on time. So when you do that, your faith is eroding. Because there's not an urgency to get here because He's here. And so when you disrespect that, your faith is waning. Your faith is waning. See, if you were meeting with me and I told you I'm going to meet with you at 10 o'clock and you show up at 10:30, that's not going to be good. Especially if I'm trying to hire you or you work for me. Right? How much more the Creator of the heavens and the earth? He sets an appointed time for us to meet here as a body at churches around this nation. Whether it's 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 9, whatever it is, and you don't show up on time. You don't realize it, but your faith is eroding. When we go, well, you know what? I'm just going to do this little sentence I'm going to cover with grace. We don't realize that it's taken away from your faith. It's eroding your faith. It's the little foxes that spoil the vine. We do little things and we think it's okay. But those are the things that are eating away at your faith. So that when something big happens, we do this. Well, I don't know why God didn't come through for me. You're like, God didn't want to, but you don't understand something. He's not going to violate His word. Whatever a man sows, that also he's going to reap. If you're not going to honor him, he can't honor you and your request.
That's right.
God is not mocked. So if you make him minimal on your life, you put everything before him, guess what? When you need something to happen, he can't do anything for you. You're tying his hands. Because you put things before him. Come on. Do you get that?
Yes.
Fear will drive you to worship at its altar. And it will be there for you every second of the way. It'll eat your money up. It'll eat your life up. And at the end, it'll kill you. Faith and fear cannot live together. If the devil could kill you, he would have killed you a long time ago. We need to make a commitment that we're going to start living by faith. We're going to start living putting God first. We're going to read His Word more. We're going to study His Word, not just read it. We're going to pray more. We're going to have a relationship with Him. So when anything rises up, we already know what He's going to do. Why? Because we tested it.
Come on. Yes.
That's why David told Saul, I can't go to war with your army. I've never tested it before. But I can go to war with God because I tested him.
Come on.
I know what he'll do. He did it with the lion, and he did it with the bear. I don't know what your armor does. I never tested it. But I can trust him because I tested him. I've seen him follow. I've seen him when I needed him. So everybody else in Israel was fearful of the giant, but one man.
Come on.
One named David, because David was fearful of God, not man.
Amen.
David was not fearful like the rest of them, so David was the only one who could take him down. No fear. Everybody else would have died because they had fear. The door was open to kill them, so they wouldn't go. David shows up because he's not fearful, knowing I'm not going to die, because he killed the lion and he killed the bear, and I didn't have fear. I mean, any one of them, I trusted him. I know what it's like.
Help us.
All people do is pronounce something over you, and they put fear in it and rise. That's not the final say. How you rise up back matters. Is there faith inside you? God said it this way: when I come back, will I find faith on the earth? God said, when I come back, will I find faith on the earth? Will I find it? It's about faith. Can you believe God? That's all the battle is. Bow your knee to God, or bow your knee to fear. And you're going to get the results of whichever one you bow to. Let me end with this. Before I was saved, I had strep throat and rheumatic fever. I was given 48 hours to live. I couldn't swallow. I had these big welts in my thing. My temperature at that time, in those days, were the gauge went up to 106 as far as I went to, and mine was hitting 106. My skin was cutting off my hands. They told me I'd never have children if I miraculously made it. I'd have a hole in my heart. But they told me you got 48 hours to live, sent me home to die. I was in so much pain. I don't know if anybody's ever been in this much pain before. But you didn't care whether you lived or died. Because the pain was so great. And I remember lying in my bed with pain that was so great that I didn't care. I wasn't saved, but when I used to go to nightclubs, I used to watch TV, put it on TV and watch when I come out after a nightclub, and they would have preachers on there, and I'd leave that on and go to sleep and hear that. But I didn't know who God was. So I remember in my deathbed, sitting there, okay, God, I heard about you. I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're, Jesus, I don't know who you are. God, Son of God, I have no idea who you are. But I'll make you this promise. Because I had no fear. I had no fear. I just wanted to die and get out of this pain. I said, if you will heal me, I'll tell people what you did for me. If not, just take me home. And at that moment, I got a tingling sensation from the tip of my toes that traveled to the tip of my head in an instant. In less than a second, I was totally healed. My hands went back to normal, everything. Everything went back to, I didn't have a hole in my heart. They did test on me, no blood problems, no blood circulation, nothing. And I have a baby. So everything they said, tried to put over me, didn't happen.
Amen.
But God knew what was on me.
Yeah.
And because there was no fear inside of me, He could move in my life. He was safe because He knew what was coming. Don't bow your knee to fear. Don't be afraid of dying. That's the only thing He has against you. That's the only thing that's stopping you from doing what God calls you to do, is the fear of death. That's it. That's all. But God has you in His hands. He determines your comings and your goings. Not the enemy. Don't let the enemy circumvent what God has for you by you operating in fear and letting Him take your life out. Live in faith. Believe God. But you can't do it until you get that word inside of you. Until you read that word over and over and over again. You got to get that word inside of you. You got to pray. You got to pray. You got to have a relationship with Him and know how He operates. You'll never be the same. Signs, wonders, and miracles will be your fruit because you have no fear. The reason we don't pray for people is because we're fearful. If I pray for them and they don't get well, show me one scripture in the Bible where Jesus said that. You know why Jesus never said that? Because He had no fear.
Come on, amen.
Jesus had no fear when He prayed for people. He only prayed. Why? Because He knew. He had a relationship with the Father. With no fear. The enemy couldn't interfere because there was no fear. Jesus never, I'm going to pray for you, but first let me find out if you're going to get healed or not. He just prayed.
Amen.
Right? He only did what the Father told him to do.
That's right.
That's it. How do we know to do what Jesus did?
That's right.
You want to see a man who lives by faith with no fear? Study the life of Jesus. And do what he did. Amen. Let's bow our heads.